It off.
Welcome, everybody, to the Video Age Best Wrestling Podcast here. All new format, same great show, same great audio tag team champions. I am the one and only Jonathan McDonald, joined as always by my co-host and my co-tag team champion, Matt Fitzgerald. Matt, what's going on?
Well, it's 7:40 a.m. in Edmonton, Alberta, so there's no better way to kick your day off than chatting about pro wrestling here on BWP. That's for sure.
Absolutely. We are so excited to get into the video side of things. Going to be exploring posting on YouTube and maybe some other places, and hopefully can make sure that we get you even more content than we do. So
Can we call it from now on, call it YouTube and pretend we're in the UK?
We can do whatever you want, mate.
I also like how, just so the fans know, John is streaming live from his front seat as he got stuck in traffic today. And so normally I think, Jonathan, you don't live in a car, right?
I don't. But hey, when the BWP Nation demands content, when they demand their show, I got to haul over, man. That's
right. You gotta haul it over. So I think, next time we'll be live from rooms, both of us, which would be pretty.
I did have a cute setup planned. Like I was gonna thumbtack my two Walmart title belts like up on the wall. Maybe throw up like a Bret Hart poster or something. But we'll get there.
This should be your new gimmick, where you just live in a car.
Yeah, kind of like a Mick Foley of podcasting.
Exactly. That's right. But only real.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to jump right into it if you don't mind. I got a couple of questions for you if you're ready.
Oh,
there in your hot seat.
Put me in a hot seat, legitimately in a seat today too.
You do. You look like a modern day Joe Rogan, Howard Stern, all wrapped up into
Connor
one.
Thompson.
Yes, sir. Okay, my question for you is this. Tuesday, I'm so pumped. As you know, I'm the big wrestling mark of the show, and we're getting teased that SmackDown's going to have Samoa Joe, Daniel Bryan main event. That's huge. I'm so pumped for it. Samoa Joe is totally hyping it up. He tweets out, "I've killed this dragon before. I'll do it again," kind of referring to when Daniel Bryan was the American Dragon in Ring of Honor. And what happens but a little bit of bait and switch, and my least favorite wrestler in the world and also my pick for worst wrestler in the world, Big Cass, throws his ugly mug into things and makes it a triple threat.
Yeah, I thought Big Cass was going to be taking the triple threat. Like I was kind of excited for that because I thought that meant that he was going to be eating the pin, which meant that clearly Daniel Bryan or Samoa Joe was going to be going over. I was really shocked to see that Samoa Joe essentially like tapped out Daniel Bryan. I guess would you call it the same as somebody actually tapping out, John, or no? I guess not.
You mean like the verbiage of like, or you mean like when they go to sleep?
Yeah, like how like tapping out can really defame your character, so to speak.
I find going to sleep like a shade below tapping out. So I would go like DQ, count out, pinfall, passing out, tapping out, I think.
Yeah. So I was shocked to see Samoa Joe.
Right guy won, though. Would you agree with that?
The right guy won?
Yeah, Samoa Joe.
Yes. I think that Joe should be a part of the Money in the Bank ladder match. I was just more shocked, I guess, because I thought Daniel Bryan was getting like the push to the moon, and maybe he was going to be winning the Money in the Bank and then going on to winning the belt. I thought that he was going to be essentially like the new front runner. So when Joe tapped him out, put him to sleep, that was a shock. I thought it was going to be more so Joe doing something to Cass, or maybe Daniel Bryan doing something to Cass. So, but I'm excited to see Joe in that Money in the Bank because Daniel Bryan's small and worthless.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to take the bait on that, but I will go one direction with Daniel Bryan. I want to bring up what I'm going to start calling the Daniel Bryan Catch-22, which seems to be garnering some momentum on social media. And the Catch-22 is this. So I think they have cold feet about pushing Daniel Bryan like they did before and maybe putting the world title on him only for him to get an injury. So I feel like they're waiting to see if he doesn't get injured. But I mean, how do you know, you wait 2 years and then, okay, he's good, I'll put the belt on him, and then he gets injured. I think if you got him and he's cleared, you put him right back where he was. Take the chance.
Yeah, I think you got to take the chance now because obviously that guy's lifeline is short. I mean, he's going to have one or two spots that could potentially, I don't know, send off a red flag when it comes to the tests and whatnot that they do. And so I think you got to do it. You got to do it earlier on because there's not a lot of longevity in that individual. Now, I'm not a doctor and I don't know how concussions work, but I'm just assuming that if you're in a position like Daniel Bryan, you're probably likely to get concussions again, and they're probably going to be more at scale and worse. And so I think for that reason, you should put the belt on him sooner than later. And you don't have a whole lot of people on the bench right now either.
I feel Daniel Bryan's really, really cooled off since his return. Like I feel he's dropped right down to the bottom of the mid card.
Well, they're putting him in feuds with big Cass, big stupid Cass. I hate Cass. Hey, John,
can you imagine? Go ahead.
Why is it that is Big Cass's finisher a big boot?
I think.
What is the classifications of the big boot, and like what do you need to have in order to use it as a finish? Is it just you need to be a certain height? Like I find it's the most boring tall person finish of all time. Like if you're tall and your finish is the big boot, you suck.
Well, just what I was going to say. Speaking of Big Cass sucking. There was a stable in NXT at one point, let's not forget, that had Big Cass, Enzo, and Carmella. And I think, at least, since I've been watching wrestling, never before has there been a stable with such little wrestling talent. It's mind-blowing.
That's true, actually. Yeah, good call. Do you think Big Cass was better when he was with Enzo or when he separated from Enzo? Because I'm liking that version of Big Cass more, the whole soft bit more than present day big boot trash Cass.
I 100% agree with you on that. And if we're going to keep calling Big Cass with an accent, we might as well recycle the legendary theme song for Festus, Biscuits and Gravy. And just put that on Big Cass, and maybe we can get a little momentum with him that way.
Yeah, the only thing is that at least Festus came back and became something, as opposed to Big Cass, who will never become anything because he's just trash. His name should be Big Trash, not Big Trash.
Thank God, he's done it again. The creative genius strikes.
Big
strikes again.
Big Trash. Even his music is so like, that's a whole nother topic, man. WWE stock music just blows, but Big Cass is trash.
So all the charges are dropped against Enzo Amore.
I know, man, and now he's making rap videos. You see that sweet track that he's got out with World Hip Hop or whatever it's called?
No, sir.
Oh man, just wait till you see this. Like, it's gonna fry your brain. Like he's got a full produced rap video where he raps about some of the rape charges against him, and it's really poor design because it's low budget. But I think he's trying to break out and be a rapper, which maybe he could. Maybe.
When it comes to wrestling and rap, the gold standard, of course, would be Macho Man's 2004 album, "Be a Man, Hogan."
What about my favorite entrance music of all time? There's one thing that I hate, and that's because it's crap.
Oh yeah, well,
I hate rap.
Did you know that got airplay in a ton of WCW Southern states? I'm talking about like top 40 country radio airplay.
Like it got played on the legit radio.
Yeah, it got played in the Alabama equivalent to 590 VOCM. It got airtime. Really? Totally backfired with what WCW wanted to do with it. They thought that these redneck guys would be the heels and Rey Mysterio and Conan would be cool, hip, rapping baby faces. And the Southern WCW crowd was like, no, that's not how it's going to work.
I can't see how they didn't see that coming. I mean, WCW was pretty Southern, so of course they're going to like their honky rap or honky tonk music. Their honky rap.
So would you bring if you were
over in Alberta too? Like I'm sure that it was probably being played at Edmonton and Calgary back in the day as well.
You're Vincent Kennedy McMahon sitting in your ivory tower counting your billions. Do you bring Enzo Amore back if he wants to come back?
It's a tough call because I mean I heard he had so much heat backstage, and I can't really see how he's valuable right now. Maybe if he goes off and actually has some success with the whole rapping gimmick. and he gets a lot of publicity, and then maybe bring him back into the fold. But I think right now, I would still hands off, unless you're going to bring him back and you're just going to put Big Cass with him and Carmella, and you're going to bump him back down to NXT. Then I'm okay with you bringing in Enzo because it gets rid of Carmella and Big Trash.
Well, I think if Enzo is going to be allowed back on some sort of probation basis, I think he's really going to have to prove himself going to the ringer. Here is what I propose. I've actually come up with the Enzo Amore Return to WWE Final Chance Probation. And it goes like this. He has to immediately meet with The Undertaker. First things first. He has to wear a suit.
Makes sense.
He has to shake Draws's hand 3 times.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's right. That's the thing you got to do. Yeah.
He has to do 500 Hindu squats consecutively. Yeah. He has to get his ham sandwich for lunch thrown outside the locker room, and he has to eat off the floor outside the locker room. He can't be in the locker room for, I don't know, let's say 6 months, okay? And he has to do at least 10, and this is the final one and most important, he has to do at least 10 media appearances talking about how hard of a worker Roman Reigns is.
Oh, that last part is devilish.
Yeah, and I think that would be what he would have to do if I was Vince McMahon.
And does he have to eat KFC chicken in the locker room over Chris Benoit's back?
And then 5 years later, when Chris Benoit went and we just say it was a referee's bag because we can't say Chris on the telly.
Yeah, you can't. I know. Do you think Chris is getting in the Hall of Fame this year?
Like the Crazy Wild Murder and Story Hall of Fame, maybe, but not the WWE.
Everybody up here in his local town of Edmonton, Alberta, is really hoping he gets into the Hall of Fame.
Really?
No, not at all.
Oh.
No. The Miz hates his guts.
Can I ask you, I'm just so full of curiosity.
Yeah.
I got to fire this one at you or else we're going to lose it to the confines of time.
Let's do it.
The Bret Hart, Eric Bischoff, I guess you can call it a rivalry, has recently reheated. And I think it's largely in part to the 83 Weeks episode where Bischoff talked about Bret and WCW. So the crux is this. I'm going to just give you the Cole's notes, and I want you to pick your side. And no one bluntly and firmly picks a side better than Matt Fitzgerald.
It's true.
Okay, it goes like this. Bischoff says, we paid you a lot of money. You came over. Your heart wasn't in it. You didn't really have any ideas for us, and that's why you didn't reach levels that you had before. Bret Hart's version is, you paid me a lot of money. I came over. You had nothing for me. You wasted me. So where do you fall in that? And that's a very basic version of it, but I really just want to get your thoughts.
Strongly side with Eric Bischoff. I think
I knew you would.
Man, Bret Hart just whines. Like, he had an opportunity of a lifetime to stand out, and he just wants to always be spoon-fed. And he needs to have more of a Cena attitude. If that was John Cena takes – one thing you can give John Cena credit for is he takes every opportunity, whether it's the the USA belt, the United States Championship, the UFC Championship, in a program with Rusev, and he goes out there and he works his butt off and he works his way back into the main title scene. I think Bret Hart just basically thought, oh, I'm a big deal. I'm going to go over there, going to put me in a great spot, and things are going to be great. But I don't know. I think I've entered straight up. And Bret, man, I know you're just living down the road 3 hours from me in Calgary, Alberta, but you suck. So
yep. Yeah, you're gonna have heat. Bret's gonna have heat with all podcast hosts. I pointed 2 examples. Like, think of DDP, who ate crap for years, who literally drove the honky tonk man to the ring in a car.
Yeah.
And then basically had the gimmick of trailer park trash for about 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And he just kept clawing and clawing and clawing. And I mean, he became a huge star, world champ, and yoga entrepreneur extraordinaire. But I'll do you one better, man. How about a guy like Disco Inferno, who is given like a joke gimmick, and then when I'm growing up, I'm 8, 9, and 10. Disco Inferno's over with a freaking 70s dancing gimmick. Yeah. So it pains me to ever be on Eric Bischoff's side, but I too have got to be on his side here.
Yeah, I think that I think Bret Hart just started to read his own press clippings, so to speak, and he thought he was like the big deal, and he was a big deal. I mean, very talented and accomplished a lot, but I feel he had a really hard time letting the limelight go, and that's why I'm a big believer that Bret screwed Bret. He didn't want to drop the belt, which I think is just childish. And then he went over to WCW, and maybe they didn't have a whole lot for him, but he should have been creating things for himself, not just waiting to get things spoon fed to him. And then I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric Bischoff said, Goldberg, go kick that guy right in the head.
And well, if so, Goldberg definitely listened.
Yeah. And I think that's on documentation. And I guess that's the last of Bret the Hitman Hart. Hey, speaking of wrestlers that aren't all that great now, what do you think of, I just got to get your 2 cents on this as well before we're out of time today. What do you think of Virgil going around in like subway stations and stuff, trying to have this business where he gives away autographs for money? Like, do you think it's like, what happened to Virgil? And isn't this just like the saddest thing of all time?
Yeah, Virgil's got to be probably the saddest. Yeah. I too heard like a ton of stories, like on message boards on social media, that people ask Virgil for a picture. I think this is what you're getting at here. They run into him. He'll say, yeah, sure. So they get a picture. And then Virgil will be like, yeah, by the way, that's $10.
Absolutely. In fact, just for our friends out there, you can go to, I don't know if you know about this, John, as well. The beauty of doing this online is you have access to the interweb.
Yes.
Which is pretty exciting. And so I just checked out this site that I thought existed, and it still exists. It's called lonelyvirgil.net, folks. So that's lonelyvirgil.net. And it is a site that somebody dedicated to just pictures of Virgil looking very lonely, where he's like selling autographs at Comic-Cons, and there's nobody. It's just, I'm looking at this photo right now, and it says WWE superstar Virgil, and there's just nobody.
There's more people on this podcast right now than lined up to see him.
Yeah, and he just looks so sad, man. Like it's just the worst. It's all these photos of him just trying to huck these photos. Why? Like why do that? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, why not? I don't know.
I was definitely not going to feel pity for the guy, because here's a guy who somehow stretched not so much ability, to be polite, to like a 10-year career, and not just a 10-year career, but like a career where in the WWF he's seconding their biggest heel at the time, Ted DiBiase, and then he goes over to WCW, and somehow, hey, good for him, he figures his way into the NWO.
I know, crazy, hey.
Yeah, like, hey, I mean, somehow he made a career out of nothing. So in some sort of bizarre way, I guess he's a success, because he definitely didn't have the in-ring skills.
Who would you relate him to today, popularity-wise, that would be on the card currently for his time? Who's the Virgil of today?
Boy, I'm going to have to go with Titus O'Neil.
Oh, what a slap in the face for Titus.
Yeah, well, Titus has a chance to break out of that mold if he can continue to leverage his slip. But I think his momentum from that has slipped. I thought they were going to do a whole thing. They had that slip and slide marketed and ready to go because they have the world's best merchandise department. But he's kind of fizzled away from that.
What about who's the individual that's with Titus? That's how bad he is. I can't even recall his name.
Apollo Crews. Oh, you're thinking Apollo Crews? Yeah, I'm going to change to that. Great call.
Yeah, because Apollo Crews doesn't get any mic time. Do you think Apollo Crews should just be in NXT? Like, why are they calling up? Why are some of these people that they don't even give jobs to just there? I feel they'd be better used in.
Well, Apollo Crews started the trend of people who were just killing it in NXT who got brought up and did the opposite on the main roster. One of many.
I know, like Ty Dillinger and man, like what about, and even like Tyler Breeze. Tyler Breeze was killing it in NXT, wasn't he?
Oh, sure. And hey, Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn. I mean, Sami Zayn's doing matches at Mania and stuff. So I would say that Sami Zayn is probably one of the best examples of somebody that came from NXT. No?
Well, I guess it depends on where you peg it. Like, let's say a Shinsuke Nakamura, when he was in NXT, you figure this guy's getting called up to be top dog, and he really kind of mired in mediocrity for a while. I'm so over Shinsuke Nakamura right now. It's not even funny.
Who do you think is going to win that match at Money in the Bank, and will that match be high quality?
No, they don't have chemistry for some reason, and AJ's going to win it to lose to Joe, I think.
Why don't they have chemistry? Like, this was the match that everybody thought was going to be the 5-star match at Mania, and it's disappointed every time.
I've never seen anything like this phenomenon where Shinsuke comes in at the takeover in Dallas, which you and Kelsey and Max prevented me from seeing. And him and Sami Zayn tear the house down, have the greatest match ever. And that's been his only great match, not one since then.
Oh, do you think so? What about his match with Ty Dillinger on Raw, on SmackDown? No? What about his feud with Randy Orton?
Shinsuke's had a good match with Orton. He's had a good match with Cena. He's had a good match with AJ, but nothing great.
What about when he dropped Cena on his head and almost broke the Golden Boy's neck? Do you like that one?
Yeah, and when they told me like 15 times before that match that it was the biggest dream match ever, and I had never even thought of it as a dream match.
And it was just a silly, like, quick way to fill up some SmackDown airtime.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I don't think the match is going to be good. I think that AJ is just going to job, and then I think you got to set up Shinsuke is going to job, and then I think you got to set up for AJ versus Joe, and then does Joe win? Is it Joe's time? Joe. It's Joe. Joe. Do.
That theme is so polarizing. Where do you fall on that? I love it.
Oh, I think it's fantastic. Fantastic. I thought it was.
Thank God.
It fell right into my category of songs that sound like stock ringtone music. Like, that's how some WWE songs sound to me. Like, I know I've been joking a lot about this one lately, but burn it down. And like, da 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 da. And Kevin Owens' music is just, flaming trash. Big Cass is trash. But I like his music.
Not when he gets biscuits and gravy, man. When he gets that theme, it'll be lit.
Man, that could be over from him. He should have like this Southern biscuits and gravy gimmick. But I think Joe's music is good now because people chant to it and they go, Joe, 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 Joe. So it's good now. It's good.
Final submission, final closing moments of the match here. Anything you want to plug, anything you want to mention, anything you want to ask?
I will. I'll plug, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I will plug our blog that we have hosted on Medium right now. You want to check it out. We have some really incredible reviews, self-proclaimed incredible reviews of WWE.
The USA title.
The USA title, that's right. I got a great review of Big Cass and all of his talents. It's a short one. And we would love for you to check it out. We've got some affiliate links there as well if you need to pick up some merchandise. And that really helps support the show. And so if you like the content, if you're on board with us hating Big Cass because he's trash, if you chant Joe when Joe comes out to the ring, then you should also check out Best Wrestling Podcast blog hosted on medium.com.
I'm going to do some plugs as well and do a standard social media fare. Twitter, @RealBW Podcast, Instagram, Best Wrestling Podcast. Got to adjust to the video world where I can't just wipe my nose like a 3-year-old as I just did, but we will adjust to that because, as I mentioned at the top, we're on video now. So pumped to be doing that.
Yeah.
We'll keep you posted. As Matt said, check out our Medium, and as always, we'd love if you could give us a review, rating, and subscription on iTunes. And in addition to iTunes, we're on Google Play, Podbean, and Stitcher. Thanks for joining us. So pumped to be in the video world. Take care. Best Wrestling Podcast. We have only just